Welcome to Commander Countdowns with us, the Nitpicking Nerds.
This episode, the top 15 instants in all of Commander.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. You can check out our Discord. We're actually growing and becoming one of the greatest YouTube channels of all time. So if you want to help with that, you can go to the Patreon, and then we'll even grow even faster.
Yes. So let's hop right into this video. We're doing the top 15 instants of all time.
Just instants, just Commander. You know this by now. We've done 4 other one of these. So we're going to get into the honorable mentions. First, EDH. What do we got?
We have 3 honorable mentions for casual EDH, we'll say, and not CEDH. We have Nature's Claim, which is a 1-mana remove an artifact or an enchantment. We have Fire Covenant, which is a 1-sided board wipe, costs a lot of life though, and it's in 2 colors, and it's 3 mana. And Assassin's Trophy, destroy any permanent, but they get a basic land.
Yep, for CDH, not including some of these cards that the value for them goes up more when you're playing Commander or high powered. So we're not going to be talking about Abrupt Decay, Brainstorm, or Demonic Consultation. Maybe if you're CDH, switch out our bottom 3 for those 3, but this is all of EDH. Thank you very much. So we're going to get to number 15 right now. What is it, Joe?
Number 15 is Deflecting Swat. 2 and a red for an instant. If you control a commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost. You choose new targets for target spell or ability. This card's interesting because it looks so bad, but the fact is you get to cast it for free 95% of the time.
Yeah, and it doesn't work on every spell, but then when it works on a spell, you gain control of it. It's, oh, I'm going to murder your creature. No, I'm going to murder your creature. It's like flips the whole script on it, and you spend a card to nullify their card and then destroy one of their cards, usually, when you stop a removal spell.
The absolute best thing I think with this, it's got to be time stretch, right? They go, I'll take 2 extra turns. You go, no, I'll take 2 extra turns.
That game is over. We're done.
Eesh.
I love the upside on silly stuff like that. Or like, no, target player draws 4 cards. Like, me, thank you.
I like looking into that. So if you do a time stretch, they lose 2 turns. You gain 4 turns have turned in your favor. That's pretty insane.
All you did was play your commander and then spend 0 mana on this spell. This whole cycle is very good. I think the green and white ones are worse, but the Grixis ones are good too. I think there's going to be maybe 1 more of these on the list.
I'll just say the Deadly Relic didn't quite make it. I think that was another one of those that was around that. If we did the top 25, you'd probably be seeing that card. We'd probably be talking about it. But we didn't quite do the top 25. We did the top 15, which is objectively the right number to do, obviously.
Nobody does top 10s anymore. Nobody. Number 14, Swords to Plowshares. White for, obviously, an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. This is a classic, hard, fast, white staple, like, no question about it.
This is hilariously the most fair, wholesome, honorable card. It's representing white. It's like, I am not broken. I am not insane. But gosh darn it, I'm trying.
He's efficient. And we were going through. There was about, 8 or 12 removal spells in contention for this top 15. And most of them didn't make it because this top 15 is stacked. So this is like pretty much one of the only ones that got to make it through.
Yeah, this card's it is the best spot removal spell
for creatures.
In the format. It might even be just the best because when you think about it, creatures are by far the most important thing to answer. When you can do it for 1 mana at instant speed with next to no downside, well, there you go. Now you've got your Swords of Plowshare.
Yeah, it doesn't interact on the stack, but it's going to take out any creature, and it's going to get around almost every ability creatures can have. So Swords of Plowshares, good job, buddy.
You throw in the fact that this card exiles, chef's kiss, best removal spell in EDH. Number 13, Dig Through Time. 6 blue. The spell has Delve. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So if you watched our top 15 sorceries, you'll know Treasure Cruise, a card very similar to this, didn't quite make that. But you have the fact that this one's an instant, and you really got an awesome, awesome spell.
Yes, and I would argue that under certain circumstances, this would actually be in the same exact spot as Treasure Cruise on both lists. They'd both be like number 18, but I guess you'll see what we mean by that later. Anyway, Dig Through Time, 2 mana for a 2-for-1. All you got to do is play some magic or build around it, and you just got an amazing spell. It's like ridiculous card selection.
The fact is, if there's even a slight hint of build around, your graveyard fills up easy, anything like that, all of a sudden you realize, oh, this is 2 mana. This effect for 2 mana is insane.
it's good for like 4 mana. You just and the fact that it's an instant mitigates when you can't cast it for 2, like on your main phase, so just dig for some spell. You just cast it for 3 or 4 mana at the end step, and you just get to look at take your best cards out of your top 7. There's just a lot of 7 is a big number.
If you want to see just how great this card is, look at the card Drawn from Dreams, which is literally a sorcery version, always costs 4 mana, and it still would be a very playable card in EDH. Is it great? No, but it's good.
The effect is just solid, so dig through time. Congratulations, number 13. So we can move on to number 12, which is a nice little tutor effect. It's Court of Calling, X, green, green, green. Search your library for a creature with cost X and put it onto the battlefield, just straight onto the battlefield, and it has Convoke, so your creatures can help cast the spell if you tap them. This has the potential to cost no mana, or at least cheat mana heavily when you tap 4 lands and 4 creatures to go get a 5-drop.
Yeah, this can also be like a complete surprise in a deck that plays tons of tokens. You could have like 6 tokens out and just go, they'll be like, all right, pass the turn to you, and you'll be like, all right, before my turn, I'll go get an awesome 3-drop. That's amazing. What? You had no mana up. You had nothing up, and you just cast the best 3-drop in your deck. That's pretty awesome.
One of my favorite things about this card is that you pass with mana up, and then it gets around to your turn again, and before you go, all right, Court of Calling for 8. You have to guess now what I'm going to get, because once I get it, you can't stop the fact that I got it. Am I going to get a Protean Hulk to try to combo out? Am I going to get like an Elish Norn to wipe the board? Am I going to get a Reclamation Sage? You have no idea, and you kind of have to think about it.
Exactly. It's X or less, so you don't have to know your exact cost. And if you don't feel like thinking, just put all your mana into it and go look in your deck. Just say, I'm going to take a second here, guys. I'm going to find what I need.
I've done that. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to tap 4 extra creatures just so I definitely have a target. Because Court of Calling, very, very good tutor, and it's not going to be the last tutor we see.
Oh, yeah. I mean, tutors are really good at Magic if you guys didn't know.
But not yet. How about number 11?
Number 11 is Cyclonic Rift. 1 in the blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. It has Overload for 6 and a blue. If you didn't know, Cyclonic Rift is not fun, but it's amazing.
The power teeters over the fun line for some people. It's just a really efficient card. Some people in the comments have noticed a recent trend with Cherries calling cards completely insane. So I'll say for him, this card is completely insane.
Yeah, I'm working on not saying completely insane in a completely insane amount of times.
Yes, it's losing all meaning.
It has a meaning. The card is completely insane.
It's just really efficient. Some people are probably surprised we have it down at number 11, and I do think every card above it is better. This is just one of the best board clear, board wipe cards you could ever play. And the fact that it has 2 modes, the 2 mana and the 7 mana, means it's just never a dead card.
Yeah, the versatility on this card is very, very important. I mean, I think if this card was 6 and a blue to do this effect, it would be okay and not talked about that much. But the fact that there's something else here for no discernible reason. You get like one of the best board wipes in all of EDH, and wow, something else? Why not? That's a gravy.
No discernible reason. They weren't even printing cards for Commander at this point, I don't think. It was like 2008.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. And how about we talk about number 10, which is Fairies Protection. 2 and a white for an instant. Until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you have protection from everything. Also, all your permanents phase out. This is the ultimate get out of jail free card. There's not many situations where you could play this in response to something and then still die. You're probably going to survive to your next turn. Then you have all your resources to work with.
Yeah, this card is really awesome. It protects you from literally everything, like BZ said. I mean, board wipes. It saves all your creatures. This isn't to save you as a player. It saves your creatures. It saves your board. Mass land destruction saves your lands. This card's versatility is just off the charts with protecting either you as a player. I'll send 10,000 attack at you. Okay, I'll phase out. Basically, now it's a fog, but guess what? It's a really powerful fog because the next 2 players also can't attack me until my turn.
Yeah, if there's a targeted effect that says you lose, they can't target you. You're not there. You have protection from everything. The only real thing that you're vulnerable to is decking and effects that say someone else wins. But those are very few and far between. And this isn't even just a defensive card. You can use it on offense, float all your mana. Maybe after you're done attacking and getting your positive combat in, float all your mana and then cast a board wipe or a mass land destruction spell. You don't have to take any of the negative effects. You just Fairies Protection. Now your lands aren't there. Everyone else's lands go away and the game's over.
I realized with the Fairies Protection lately, I stopped trying to read into what's in players' hands. I just kind of play, just to try and like be more relaxed when I play. I used to like read into their hands, be like, oh, the Fairies Protection coming. Now when people do, I'm like, oh crap, I didn't see that coming.
Probably should have read into that.
Probably should have read into that. That's really good.
It could be a huge blowout. You know, you put all your resources into a big attack or a big combo, and then, oh, you're gone. Someone else interacts with it, and maybe you only take out one person or nobody, and then you're just left totally shields down. Fairies Protection, awesome.
Exactly. Like you said, you put so much into something, like, okay, I have to kill that person. They have to die. They're in the lead by a mile. You throw your whole turn into something, and all of a sudden, it just doesn't work because that player's protected. Like, you might have counted like 3 or 4 spells that they put together to kill you. It's so good.
I mean, one realistic situation that I think has definitely happened before is, all right, my opponents are at like 8, 10, and 10. Well, I'll sacrifice 10 permanents with Bolas the Citadel, including itself. All right, you guys lose. Nah, I'm gonna phase out. I don't wanna lose this game. Now you lose.
Yeah, exactly. So strong. Another thing about stuff like that is like you phase. I've done this before too. I just need to make it back to my turn. Phase out main phase.
Yeah.
Okay. Use this card as a sorcery. Phase out and just let the turns go by. Now it's back to me. I have everything I need to win.
Yeah, I have my combo. I drew enough cards with the mana I had floating. It's all going to work out. So we get to move on to number 9,
which is Intuition. 2 in a blue. Search your library for 3 cards and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 1. Put that card into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Then shuffle your library. Intuition is very similar to a card that's actually banned in Commander, named Gifts Ungiven. So if that card's banned, and this card is similar to it, it's probably pretty good. You just go into your deck, you get 3 cards, and you get one of the worst. You get the worst one. Okay, the other 2 are my graveyard. So 1, I still have access to both of them in any number of ways. Plus, I got one of the best 3 cards in my deck.
Okay, I really want this creature, because if I get it in play, I win. I'll search for the creature, reanimate, and animate dead. Good luck. You lose. Like, it doesn't matter. There's so many redundant piles you can make. It's so bizarre to me that Gifts Ungiven is banned and this card is not banned. They are so ridiculously similar. I just think Gifts Ungiven should not be banned. Neither of them is ruining the format. They're just both really good cards.
I think it's very clear to me why these cards are the way they are. It's because you don't see Intuition. This card is expensive. It's not around. People don't play it. People are complaining about it. Gifts Ungiven was readily available and just running around EDH tables all the time when it came out. So it's like, it makes sense that it was sought and banned. Intuition hasn't been printed for like 10 years.
A lot of people don't even know this card exists because their playgroup's not going to dish out the money for one. It's like a competitive card or maybe even like a fringe competitive card only. And then obviously, if your deck's highly tuned, this is probably just a rock solid include.
I mean, this is probably a CDH. I couldn't imagine a world where it's not. It's got to, if you're playing a Protein Oak combo with blue in it, and you draw this card, you just get to go, again, you said reanimate, animate dead, Protein Oak. All right, try and stop me.
Oh, I'll respond to that. Counterspell, counterspell, counterspell. All right, I'll cast counterspell on it. It's just, it doesn't matter what, it searches for 3 things and 2 of them go away. If there's anything that cares about creatures in your yard or spells in your yard, you get 3 things with flashback just as a value. If you get 3 spells that have flashback or retrace or something, you just drew 3 cards.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We don't need to talk about this too much because it's clearly ridiculous. Yeah. We can go on to the next one.
It's actually, was this our first of the tutors? No, it's our second of the tutors. There's still more. In fact, the next one is Entomb.
Yeah, Entomb is black for an instant. Search your library for a card and put it right into your graveyard. Just right on in there. That's all the card does, and that's all the card needs to do. They've never even come close to doing this effect again because it's really, really good.
They have. They did Buried Alive, which is way worse. This was a 1 mana instant.
Card.
Yeah, not creature. Also, the card's name is Entomb. Why are you entombing, let's just say, a Cyclonic Rift? That doesn't make any sense. How do you put a rift into a tomb?
Man, this loam is very fertile. There's a lot of life here. I guess I'll put it in my graveyard and then dredge 3 on my next turn. It's so good with dredge creatures. If you don't even know what you want, but you just want to fill the graveyard, get Life from the Loam. Get Stinkweed Imp. Just go crazy.
Yeah, get your Golgari Grave Troll. The dredge 6, the maximum amount you can do.
Anything with flashback, anything that can come back from the graveyard. This card is so good. There's a ton of combo pieces that end up in the graveyard. Like if you're trying to do Gravecrawler stuff, okay, here it is, basically in my hand. Half the cards I think you're going to get with this are functionally just in your hand anyway. So if this was 1 mana Demonic Tutor at instant speed, I'm in.
Exactly. You're putting in the graveyard. There's like there's a caveat. The caveat is you have to use specific cards that you're going to either be able to get back, use, abuse in some way. There's a lot of those in Magic. There's not just like 5 or 6. There's like 100 to 1,000 cards that you can put into your graveyard and abuse.
Yes. Entomb. It's the Entomb Reanimate. Like they're two halves of the same little combo. Reanimate did very well on the top 15 sorceries. Entomb also doing very well in top 15 instants.
Yes. Moving on, we have our first counter spell. It is Fierce Guardianship. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. Without repeating ourselves, for all the reasons Deflecting SWAT gets all of that, and that effect is barely good. Well, a counter spell's really, really, really good.
This one just protects you for such a low investment. Player commander, which is probably worth protecting. Once it's out, you have free reign to go, all right, I'm probably not getting board wiped. I'm probably not getting comboed out. You can't counter creature spells, but usually a creature isn't going to mess a ton with your board state or, end the game right away.
I think the best way to look at this is, when do you want to play this in your deck? Well, do you plan on playing your commander? Yes. Then you plan on playing this card because it's amazing.
The cycle, we said, it's messed up. It's very, very good. Free counter spells are priceless in the decks that want them, in aggressive combo decks or just control decks. It helps you stay alive and spend extra mana past what you already have. So for that reason, number 7, easy. Let's move on to number 6, which is Veil of Summer. Green for an instant. Draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and black until end of turn. I think for a split second this flew under the radar because it was part of the cycle that was like, oh, that's pretty okay. No, this card's actually crazy. Green. So for a green, you can cantrip it to just draw a card if someone's cast a spell. If you want to play a spell and then have it resolve, you play your spell. If they want to respond and counter it, you go, okay, Veil of Summer, you cast a spell, I'll draw a card. Now my spell can't be countered, so the spell replaced itself and countered as a 2-for-1 for 1 mana, and then now your original spell gets to resolve. This card is all sorts of messed up.
Yeah, it protects you from spot removal. It protects you from targeted cards that are going to, like, say something says like target player discards 2, protects you from that kind of silly thing. Another thing you could do with this card is start your turn off with it. If you're planning on comboing. So it's like, well, if you have a counter spell, you got to counter this Veil of Summer because that's your, otherwise you can't counter the rest of my spells.
Yeah, I don't need to draw a card if I have the tools to win right now. Just play it. And they go, uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, you guys got anything?
Yeah, exactly. It's like all the counter spells are in blue for the most part. So it's like you're not interacting with the stack. And if your win's going to come from casting spells in the stack, that means you're just going to win because they can't interact with you.
Yeah, even if you just have creatures, they can't bounce them with like a Cyclonic Rift. Obviously they can overload it, but they can't target it to be bounced or target it with a black removal spell because they have hexproof from blue and black.
Yeah, this card just has an extra line of text every time you reread it. There's so many different little things. Stops counters, protects your board. Why does this card do so much? It also protects you. You have hexproof from those colors. So again, those targeted things, someone tried to blue sun you out. Okay, I'll protect myself.
Yeah. Don't even worry about it.
What?
Don't even worry about it. You're going to target me to mill? No, just forget it. I'll just draw a card.
This is an uncommon from a core set.
This is actually probably one of the biggest mistakes design-wise ever in like a Magic card. If we're talking recent design mistakes, this is way up there. There's like Oko is obviously the top of like the past 5 years for a mistake, but then this is like number 2 or 3.
Yeah. This
not okay.
Yeah, if you don't know about Veil of Summer because you don't play the other formats or you don't really play high power EDH, this card is not fun in any way.
Yes, a lot of these, some of the lower ones don't see a ton of play even in like the 1v1 competitive environments where it's like, yeah, you can play the best cards and it's 1v1. No, Veil of Summer still breaks through that and it's amazing and it's banned in a lot of formats.
Yeah, it just goes everywhere. Next we have, probably one of the top 20 Magic cards ever printed. It is Managerian. Blue, counter target spell. At the beginning of your next main phase, add an amount of wingdings equal to that spell's converted mana cost.
Amount of wingdings.
For this one, let's just look at another spell. Counter spell. Totally playable in the EDH. Not a bad card at all. Oh, wait. What if it was strictly better and just completely bonkers? Yeah. Well, that's Managerian. You just get all this mana for no reason.
Yeah, this one actually I think is for no reason. They had the idea of Managerian and they're like, all right, we need to represent that. Doesn't matter how. And it actually really, back then, didn't matter how. They just wanted to print cool cards. This was a super cool card that a lot of people were drawn to because the flavor makes total sense. Except, okay, it's totally insane. There's no way to go negative on mana with this. I had to counter their 1-drop. It's like, okay, I lost 1 mana. Let's counter their 0-drop. I don't know what world that's happening in. If you counter a 2 or above, this card is free, with a little installment plan. And if you counter like a 7-drop, you're just rolling in mana next turn.
Just literally rolling. One thing about this is, that's what you're doing. One thing about this is this card got buffed in Magic's history. It was a lot worse when it was first printed, and for like the first 5, 6, 7 years it was out because of mana burn. So you could counter a 5-drop and maybe get caught with your pants down a little bit and lose like 3, 4 life. But that's gone. That's long gone. If you can't use the mana, doesn't matter at all because you just got counterspell.
Yeah, that does make the card worse, but I'd say even with mana burn and whatever else, this is still insane. You're just going to be able to spend the mana, especially in Commander.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with that 100%. I'm just saying, like, there was a point in time when this card was worse in Magic.
It's fair to recognize that when they started, the rules were different, so this was less egregious back then.
Yeah, they wouldn't print this card now. I mean, they would in Commander Legends, but but they wouldn't print this card as a brand new card.
Yeah, it would be a little silly. I think a lot of their philosophies go against stuff like this.
I think a good way, if you want to look at what it costs to cast this kind of spell now, Spell Swindle is 5 mana for a similar effect.
Yes, you get to keep the mana and use it whenever you want. But I'll take Mana Drain every day. Spell Swindle, actually, spoiler alert, not on this list.
Can you believe it?
It's not one of the top 4. But you know it is.
I don't think it's one of the top 100.
But you know it is.
Yes.
Frantic Search. Another one you might not have seen coming, but it's 2 and a blue for an instant. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Untap 3 lands. This is very subtle if you haven't played with it. It does a lot more than it looks like, and it's not any mana for you. It costs none total.
It costs none total, and on top of that, it can just be a ritual. If you start with like a High Tide in your turn, all right, tap 3 islands. Oh, wait a minute, I tapped 3 islands? Well, I have 6 mana from that. Untap my islands. Oh, I just made a ton of extra mana. I mean, 6 mana, and I got to look 2 cards deeper, and I put 2 in my graveyard for anything that might care about that.
I'm sorry, are there any other spells that dig you 2 cards deep for free, or dig you 2 cards deep and then are a ritual? This does a lot of stuff, and it is trending towards combo or trending towards decks that have a lot of ways to recuperate, because you do go down 1 card when you cast this, draw 2, discard 2, but you spent this one. And obviously, as we'll get higher into this list, going down a card actually doesn't matter if the card you play is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing about the Frantic Search is, oh man, you do go down a card. What color is this in? Oh, blue.
Yeah.
Where you have infinite card advantage. Yeah, you're not going to have any problem recouping that 1 card you went down.
Yeah, toss a couple ways, like High Tide is so cheap. Toss a couple ways to add extra mana, or if you have even something janky like a Cage Sun. We're going off, baby. Let's go. We're casting all the spells. You can, like, just with the mana acceleration and this and an X spell, all right, all the extra mana is going to draw me the cards to make up for the card I just spent.
Yeah, exactly. Frantic Search is banned in Legacy. I mean, it's literally banned in Legacy for a good reason. This card is warping a formats it's in. I mean, obviously, single cards don't typically warp EDH, but this one, I mean, if you play CEDH, you're going to see it a lot. You won't see it in lower power EDH as much, but the card is still, I mean, it's free. It's stupidly free. Like, in our best creatures, we had Palinchron. That thing's free too, but this is even way better than that.
Yeah, you'll find, like, it's worth it to mention that it's banned in Legacy. If you cast this card too many times, it creates just unfun games where you're just going to win. Like, if there's enough concentration of Frantic Searches in your deck, you will destroy and win on like turn 2 and 3, because just it makes your deck more consistent and it doesn't cost any mana. So you're going to find the things you want to do faster, and just try Frantic Search. If you have not tried this card, it's nuts. I
mean, the reason it's in Legacy is it's in Storm decks, you get to play 4.
Right.
And then this isn't a spell for your turn. This counts as, it is a spell. It counts as 1 spell, but you spent nothing on it. Literally nothing.
Yeah, if anything, you have triggers off of instants or sorceries, get this in there. Like, let's go. Cast this thing from your graveyard and just feel like you're the king of the world.
So, I think an interesting thing is High Tide sees almost no play in Legacy. If Frantic Search got unbanned, High Tide would jump to like one of the best decks in Legacy.
Probably would, yeah. And Legacy aside, this is an amazing Storm card for Commander.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. The next one, is an amazing storm card for Legacy and Commander.
Oh, weird.
It's Ad Nauseum. 3 black, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. You may repeat this process any number of times. Oh, so you can just draw 20 cards really easily? The one restriction on this card is you have to make sure you're not playing the big, giant, splashy spells in your deck, maybe 1 or 2 of them, because you don't want to go reveal Emrakul. Okay, I'll try again. Reveal Kozilek.
Yeah, don't do that. Requires a little bit of deck building from you, and it pays you back by just being 1 mana, draw 15, or draw even just 1 card, 5 mana, draw like 8, draw 10. Is that good? No, yeah, I'll answer it for you. It's very, very good. There's a couple decks that have been built around this and constructed. We don't care. This actually is one of the only cards on here that gets better based on the starting life total. We could drop to 30, and this card actually just gets way worse. A little bit worse. You're drawing less cards with it. But we start at 40, so we're going to go down to like 10 life and then just win every time.
Yeah, exactly. One of the best things about this is the fact that it is an instant. You get to pass with whatever mana up, hold up all your interaction. Like this is what instants are about. But this is one of those that you get to do these end of turn things where it's like, all right, I didn't have to interact with anybody. Now it's coming back to me. Okay, I'll cast my huge draw spell and I'll be untapping with all of my resources and a fresh new 17 cards.
Free counter spells, 1 mana, 2 mana counter spells, this combo or whatever is going off. It's just like when they go, all right, untap, draw, Veil of Summer. You're like, uh-oh, this is end of your turn, Ad Nauseum. You're just like, oh, the game is almost over. I didn't even know. I wish I would have known that.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not a nowhere one. I mean, yeah, they have mana up, but you don't really plan for the Ad Nauseum draw 20 end of turn. I don't think I ever plan for the draw 20 end of my turn.
Yeah, all right. So now what do I do if they draw 15 cards and then counter everything I do? I'll probably just lose.
Yeah.
I don't think about that.
Yeah, that would. This card is really, it's a CDH staple. I mean, it's awesome. The fact is what makes this card even more awesome is you can afford to throw rituals into it just to get it out quicker and sooner because it recoups all the value lost from ritualing it out quickly.
And if you're playing rituals, it finds rituals, so then you can just start going off even if you have 7 mana and you use 5 of it on Ad Nauseum. It's like, well, okay, well now we're playing Cabal Ritual and we're going to play Moxen of some sort, and now we're just going to go off to the races and win. Ad Nauseum's amazing. I'm excited to get to number 2 though.
Exactly, yeah. So number 2 is another. These last 3 just have had something to do with Legacy, and well, this is Legacy staple, Force of Will.
You could argue Legacy linchpin Force of Will, but I'll read it anyway. It's 3 blue for an instant. Counter target spell. Okay, but you can cast it for free by paying 1 life and exiling a blue card from your hand in addition to the cost. Well, I guess instead of the cost. So you pay no mana, 1 life, and you go down an extra card, but you get to counter a spell for 0 mana, and it's any spell. The only thing this asks of you is play at least a reasonable concentration of blue and have card draw on your deck to recuperate. But the last one's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think this is the best counterspell in Magic. It's so good. A while back, I remember watching a video where someone was like, this is overrated. And I could not agree less. I think this card is completely insane. It doesn't just hit, yes, I know I said completely insane. This card is completely insane, though. It hits any spell for starters. This is your Pact of Negations and your other cards. Not Pact of Negation, what is it? Force of Negation. Yeah, they staple those cards together. That only hits non-creatures. This hits any spell at all. You never have to hold up mana for it. You just have to have another blue spell in your hand. And free interaction is just awesome. And you don't realize how good it is until you use this. Like, until you're about to lose and you're like, oh, yeah, I would have just lost because I have 0 mana up. But instead, I can just counter your Craterhoof Behemoth.
Yeah, or I counter your Bolas of Citadel. I don't lose. Totally reasonable card. About the overrated thing, it's rated. Okay, I think it's appropriately rated. If anyone's worshiping this card, okay, maybe chill a little bit. Just very, very good, very, very efficient. A staple of any deck trying to aggressively combo or protect itself with a lot of card draw. It's just an amazing card. This is another one. If it was 50 cents instead of $100, it would see play everywhere appropriately.
Yeah, Force of Will can absolutely be a staple of decks just wanting to protect itself. You don't need to be aggressively comboing because what you can do is you can be like, I want games to go a little longer. I'll stop the first person from going off or winning. So the game will I'll be able to like make a game that I might find more fun because I'm able to like slow down one player and like, drag the game out a little bit, maybe play a little bit more politics.
Yes. I think Force of Will, one of the people standing atop the throne of EDH looking down, one of the best things you could do. And it's not even really that miserable because it's just a counterspell.
And to quote the great Force of Will, maybe next time you'll estimate me. And the number one instant of all time is Vampiric Tutor. But we stapled in here Worldly Tutor, Mystical Tutor, and Enlightened Tutor for the sake of variety on this list. We didn't want to have 4 spots on this list dedicated to tutors that put cards on top for 1 and instant speed. No thanks.
Yeah, if you really want to split hairs, Vampiric Tutor is the best. And we would tie the other 3 at number 2, but we're just going to lump them all into number 1. This is the best card in your deck. You play it when it can be the best card in your deck, and you don't play it when you don't have any targets for it. Vampiric Tutor doesn't care. It's always the best card in your deck. It's a 1-mana instant. You lose 2 life. Who cares? Let's go. I go down a card. Obviously, this list, these cards don't care if they go down a card.
Yeah, not even a little bit. It's completely insane.
Completely insane.
Completely insane. It's so strong. The best card in your deck, sometimes you can keep a 1-lander and go, okay, I'll go and get my land and just be completely fine. You can late game, get your win con, mid game, get your protection spell. It's whatever you need. And that's why, this card is so weird and boring to talk about because it's not a card itself. It doesn't actually do anything itself. It gets other cards that do a ton of things.
Yeah, we were talking about this list, and since we're basically done with Vampiric Tutor, it's amazing. Play it. It's a staple. The only 2 cards on this list that actually have effects of their own is the Fairies Protection and Cyclonic Rift. Everything else counters an opposing effect or just searches for a card with another effect. They don't actually do anything. If that gives you a pretty good hint of what the best stuff is.
Yeah, you're digging for stuff or negating stuff.
Yeah, none of these have their own effects to them.
Yeah, I mean,
which is fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's completely fine. These cards are all super good. I mean, Vampiric Tutor, if you didn't know, I mean, it's been sitting around like $60-$70 for a reason.
I think it's actually like 50 now.
Wow, went down.
From Commander Legends, at least.
That's good. I mean,
it finally opened a critical mass of them, but this card is just one of the best cards in the entire format. It's like top 10. It's just such a good Magic card, such an aggressive cost, such a low downside. We all knew this was coming. Vampiric Tutor is amazing. Yeah. But we got to thank people for watching this video.
Vampiric Tutor is actually one of those power level cards that is so good. I often exclude it from my deck because I want to make the games more interesting.
I want to play one more cool card in my deck.
Exactly. You can play that Grolf's Messenger for fun. That's awesome and synergistic with your deck. You can play Vamp Tutor and just get Bolas Citadel.
Yes, and we'll try for the second time to shout out people who make this video possible.
Yes, special shout outs to every single one of our patrons. We love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. You guys are scrolling on screen. You guys are known as endearingly the poopy babies.
There's 159 of you, and keep on coming. We got goals to meet. We got gameplay to produce. We got a full-time job to acquire. We're getting there. We're getting there. The Nitpicking Nerds is actually an official LLC now.
Yes, the Nitpicking Nerds is an LLC. We're making at least a little bit of money.
Yes, we want to make enough money to sustain ourselves, and then it's just tunnel vision. Let's go make some content, baby. Let's rock and roll. If you want to support us and help us get there, TCG player link in the description. All you got to do is buy cards you would buy anyway. Just start with the link, navigate, buy the cards, and then we get a kickback on the order, and you support local businesses, and it costs nothing extra.
Yep. So that's awesome.
Get on over there. What are you doing? Why are you still here?
Yeah, exactly. So use that TCG player link and support the Nitpicking Nerds. We appreciate any form of support you're giving us, whether it's watching this video, sharing this video, going over to Patreon, just joining the Discord and hanging out with us. Any little bit of support that you're giving us is very much appreciated.
Yeah, I would even challenge someone who's looking for, if you're a heavy supporter of the channel and you're looking for a way to support us for free, word of mouth is like one of the best things you can ever do. Like, I went to college. I know that. So if you spread the word of the Nitpicking Nerds, spread the word of the nerds, we're going to hashtag that or something, we'll get more exposure. We'll be on track to make this our career.
Yes, we're getting there. So
maybe someday we'll even get a preview card.
Wizards acknowledge our existence. We're here.
We're gonna get a silver play button before we get a preview card.
All right. So, well, if we're gonna discuss something, we might as well discuss the fake controversy.
There's a fake controversy?
Well, we produced a video 2 days ago.
I'm still blanking.
And in response, the professor
Oh, yeah.
posted a video saying not to use it.
Yeah, we posted hey, we're going to give you a guide to what we mean by power level, and here's how we're going to talk about it. Maybe you can grade your decks, and we can hopefully come to an agreement. Obviously, it wasn't anything objective, but then the professor's like, let me just shut this down right now, and just out of pure happenstance made a video that was like, don't use power level anymore. I think, being realistic, you just use a mix of what he's talking about, which is what's been said over and over. It's like, just talk to your playgroup. Talk to your playgroup or agree on a power scale or both. It doesn't matter. As long as we're coming to some sort of objective stance on things, it's fine.
Yeah, I know. I think one thing, basically what you end up doing when, say, some people like to demonize this power scale as like something that's bad or whatever. But if you come to an agreement and understand it, it works well. Basically what you're doing when you start, what the professor says in his video, when you start asking the questions, is you're figuring out your power scale without using numbers. You're wording it in different ways. And it's the same concept. Basically, you all need to figure out what you're playing and what you expect out of the game, whether it be by this number scale or whether it be by asking them these specific questions the professor gives.
If you want to run a survey or questionnaire, maybe get like a piece of paper, have everybody fill it out, find something you can all agree on, and all you gotta do is use that. And if you're just playing with a group of friends and stuff, you don't really need anything at all.
Yeah, just tell them not to play their tutor deck.
Yeah, don't play whatever. I'm not a loser, so I would never tell somebody not to play something.
That was a random card. I just picked it off the top of my head.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with anything. I don't know.
Oh, so we're just done.
Yeah, of course we're done. Peace out, Tribe Scout.